Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you for joining me here in the Locher Room on this January 12th. I'm Alan Locher. Actor, producer, and writer Marshall Hilliard is here today to look back at his time playing Hart Jessup on Guiding Light. In addition to his role as Hart, Marshall appeared on Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, and The Young and the Restless. He also produced and starred in the 2007 film Burn. Please help me welcome, for the first time to the Locher Room, Marshall Hilliard.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Hey, thank you for having me, Alan. I really appreciate this. This is wonderful.
My pleasure. Thank you for being here. Do I have it right that you grew up in Georgia?
I grew up in Savannah, Georgia.
Nice. What?
Yeah.
Take us back to Savannah. Your childhood. What was that like?
Well, I have a great family, and I had a great father and brother too. They recently passed away, but the family union was really good and very supportive of everything I did. Savannah was a unique and very beautiful place to grow up. Cobblestone, history, just an aura of Southern mystery always behind it. And played football my whole life there went through high school and graduated from Memorial Day School. Go Matadors.
Who introduced you to football? Dad?
I actually did. My father, when we got a TV when I was 4 years old, I just was fascinated with college and professional football, and I just loved it, and they let me play. I have pictures of me at 4 years old in a football uniform. It's cute. But they were very supportive, and thank God I've stayed very healthy, and I never got injured.
That's great. A favorite team?
It used to be the Falcons, but of course, I'm a big Rams fan now. I said when we get a team, I got to go for the Rams. And so I've been a Dodger fan for quite some time too. But the Braves and the Falcons are my second team. And I live in Arizona now, so you never know. Maybe I can't root against my home state. So we'll see.
There you go. So a jock in high school, who or what influenced your decision to go into acting?
It's strange. I actually got propelled into becoming president of my drama class at Memorial Day School. And a friend of mine, Elizabeth Rogers, asked me to help her produce a play. It was The Glass Menagerie. And of course, I was going to be the gentleman. So I got an experience of not only learning how stage setting up, memorization, rehearsals, live performances. And then as an actor, I performed as well. And I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole thing. And now I am producing, and I love it more than ever. I've never loved this business more than ever now that I'm actually producing and writing. It's a great experience right now.
Interesting. And you moved to New York when you were 19. Is that correct?
I did. I did a brief little modeling thing there, and came back to Georgia for about 6 months. And then I got signed by Elite in Chicago. And moved up there and never looked back, so to speak. I've only been back to Savannah maybe 10 times. That's just a visit, but it's been great.
Wow. So when you came to New York at 19, was it for modeling?
Yes.
Wow.
I've been signed with Ford Agency. I was one of the shorter agents, one of the shorter models they had. And so I went back to reevaluate for 6 months, just to see if I wanted to go back to college or pursue modeling. Competition was really tough. I'm 5'10", so I gave it a break, and then by chance I got signed by Elite in Chicago, and that's they were great, and they were very commercial, and they didn't care if I was 5'10", so I went for it.
That's awesome, and a good way to make a living at a young age too, I would say.
Yeah, it was more enjoyable though. It was I would rather make half the price and live my dream than do something for double and not enjoy it or thought about it.
Yeah, I absolutely imagine that. Did you get to travel with modeling?
I sure did. I went all over Asia, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Tokyo. Was fun. And so it was a paid vacation, which was really sweet.
Favorite place you went for modeling?
Singapore by far. I mean, not even close. One of my favorite countries ever. And,
wow. The
Yeah.
company that I currently work for has an office in Singapore. I have not been, but
Oh, you got to go. I promise you. Listen, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's there's so much culture there, and there's just it's clean as you could ever imagine. It's if there's any one place I could say that comes close to being a perfect country, it's Singapore. It really is.
oh, I love that testament. You moved out west.
Safety, you know.
Say it again.
You know, you feel safe when you're there. They don't allow you to spit on the sidewalk. You'll get a $50 fine. I totally agree with that. When I went, you couldn't chew gum. So if they caught you chewing gum, no importing, exporting, if they catch you chewing gum, it's $50 fine. I mean, I just love that because they figured most people would not dispose of it properly. And like I said, if you don't flush the toilet and there's someone there, it's $50 fine. If it's a public restroom. And I sort of like that because it sort of teaches self-responsibility about community, then city, state, country. So
Yeah.
I interrupted you. My apologies. Go ahead.
No, I love that. That's absolutely true. First of all, teaches good manners.
Yes, yeah. And we don't want to be forced into learning, but sometimes certain people have to be forced into learning, how to clean up after yourself.
Yes, definitely. You moved out west, I believe, in January of 1988. Was that to pursue acting or still modeling?
I got signed with Ugly People in Milan. So my roommates in Elite in Chicago, one was from San Francisco, one was from LA. And so we all made a pact that we would travel over there together in January of 88. And they actually went, I stayed in LA. I didn't want to leave. It was the most amazing place I could ever imagine, 21 years old. It was just getting off the airport and feeling the weather. It was just amazing. And there were doors that were just opening up for me from the day I got in LA. So I got a job at Chippendales. I know that sounds funny, but it was really one of the best jobs I've ever had. Not only in a money situation.
Were you dancing? Were you dancing or?
I did not dance in the United States. We did dance in Asia. We were the first group to go over there, but they wouldn't allow any nudity, which is great. They just, we went down to like shorts, construction, the construction shorts or whatever it was, whatever.
Did you watch the miniseries?
I've seen some of it. To be honest with you, I haven't seen anything that's, Dan Peterson is a friend of mine. He's basically, who he is. He's the great looking dude with the blue eyes and the mustache back from the late 70s, all through the 80s. He ruled Chippendales, and he actually became a great photographer and producer. And he wrote a script that was the closest thing that I've ever seen to what really went on at Chippendales.
Gotcha.
So yeah. And the thing is I haven't seen really too much out there. We have a new script that we're trying to do to try to make it more comedy versus seriousness, but there was a very serious overtone. I would never think in my entire life that the owner had actually put hits out on people. And I don't know if you know about the story, but it's
I watched the miniseries. I had no idea of the story.
Oh my God. We were in Asia, and the joke was, I hope one of us just doesn't get popped tonight, because we were told not to do it. And we weren't threatened, but we were told not to do it. And basically from what we had heard about Steve Banerjee is that he's a nice guy, but you have to take him seriously. And if he says, don't do something, you can either quit or you don't do it. And on my birthday, I got pied. It was hilarious. I thought I got shot. I didn't know where these pies came from. So they pied me in Singapore on my birthday in front of 3,000 people with, I think it was 55 pies. The pictures, I'm running, you can see me running away, and there's like little dots everywhere of pie.
I am sorry that I didn't know about Chippendales before we did this show, because I would have made you send me pictures.
Oh, that's great. No, I got lucky. Actually, Dan Peterson, he put me in some of the calendars. He produced his own calendars as well. And, a lot of nice guys, people doing me favors. Anybody can be in a calendar. There's plenty of those guys out there, but they were nice enough to look out for me.
That's awesome. Before Guiding Light came along, were you a soap watcher or anyone in your family?
Yeah. Oh my God. It's pretty crazy. Yes, I was. We had a lot of friends that watched soaps. They'd come over and watch soaps with my mom. Back in the day, you'd have people like wash and folding clothes in the afternoon, and then they'd have the TV on. That was in every house. And so what I grew up with was Young and the Restless, Guiding Light, As the World Turns, and then Bold and the Beautiful came on a little later on when I was in my teens. But my sister and I got addicted to Dark Shadows one summer. And if you've ever seen the original Dark Shadows, that's a soap opera, brother. That's pretty intense. Have you ever seen it?
I've seen some of it. I watched Mary O'Leary. She was
Okay.
she was a producer at Guiding Light. She might have been there when you were there. She produced
Yes.
She produced a documentary about Jonathan Frid from Dark Shadows.
All right. Yeah. I mean, listen, vampires. I mean, vampires, but not goofy. I mean, with respect to some of the soaps out there, they did vampires and demons and all that other stuff. It was done not like serious like Dark Shadows was, and I loved it. It's funny to see somebody like Kevin Bacon that was on Guiding Light. It's just bizarre. And my friend Ian Ziering, I had his old dressing room, so that's my roommate actually trained him in the early '90s.
That's so funny.
It's pretty crazy, right?
I became friends with Ian when I was a fan of the show.
Isn't he a good guy? He's such a cool guy.
He's a good guy. Yeah, we were both Jersey boys. He actually came to see me in a play at college here in New Jersey.
That is totally cool. He's like that. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
So he got a lot of great people from Guiding Light. And what a cast. I mean, throughout the longest running show in television history, I don't see anything really beating it. I don't know how many.
There are shows that are going to beat it now because of it being off the air. Like
I see what you mean.
Yeah, like General Hospital, I think just beat it on television. Guiding Light with radio and TV longest, but
that's amazing.
If Guiding Light was still on at the end of this month, it would have turned 87.
It's amazing. That's a little younger than I am right now.
Well, speaking of Guiding Light, many of the fans who are watching may know this story. I don't remember this story, but how did the role of Hart Jessup come about?
Yeah, this is a blessing by God. I have to make that extremely clear before we move forward. Whatever people believe in, this is definitely, I always believed it was the divine intervention. The Hart Jessup role, I had been up for a lot of different roles, just for soaps alone in the late 80s, early 90s. And when Hart Jessup came around, it was a big deal. And I like that name too. Plus my family is from Jessup, Georgia. Seriously. So that's pretty cool. So when they call me Jessup, like when Russell Curry would say Jessup, it's just funny. My family would laugh. So I wanted that role, and it went to Jeff Phillips, and I watched him. I said, this guy's good. He's nominated for an Emmy, and then he got replaced. I didn't know why they would replace him. I'm not a producer, so I don't know. Are you there? There we go. We got a little.
Yeah.
I continued to watch, and then here comes Leonard, and I'm like, now I see. I see why they didn't choose me. And with respect, I can see why they didn't choose anybody else either. So he came into that role. We all knew all the guys that wanted that role. A lot of them were my friends, whether it's acting class or just in general nightclubs or just whatever. Everybody wanted that role. When we saw him get that role, we did say, pick another role because he's going to have it for the rest of his life or as long as he wants it. And it was tragic when I read the article. I'll never forget it. I was in Ralph's, and I just looked at it in August 1993, and I almost passed out because I placed myself in his shoes, if that makes sense, on the role. I remember reading in Soap Opera Digest when he got the role. This is his quote. And this is funny how I remember this stuff. I don't know, but he is an important person to me. He said he was in the shower, and his agent called and said, "You got the role of Hart Jessup." And he just ended up getting out of the shower and dancing in his living room completely naked and wet. That's a celebration right there. I'm not imagining it. I'm just saying, ladies, just think about it. What a way to celebrate. I almost had an accident when I found out I had the role. My fiance was with me, and that's crazy. I mean, I had to pull over, so when you get the word on stuff like that, it creates an unbelievable amount of excitement because it just rarely ever happens.
But you pursued the role, which I read about just,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. I'm rambling on. I apologize. I
no, no,
really did.
no.
I stopped at Leonard.
Well,
When he had
hold on. I'm going to read you
yeah.
what Eddie just said. You were my favorite
Oh,
part. I was really upset when
oh,
you
thanks,
left.
man. Oh, thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks, Eddie. I'll give you that money later on. um, yeah, with Leonard, I almost passed out, and little did I know that with respect to Sean, who's Sean McDermott, great actor, theater actor, Grease,
Yeah.
he did a great job too. I never thought that I would be the next guy. And I received a message from God the last second to literally send my own. What happened was I had heard that they were screen testing guys in '95. February, 12 guys, no go. So then I hear there's another group. So then I heard there was a third group. That's expensive. I don't know if people know about what goes into a screen test. You have to hire the actor or actress. So in my case, it was Wendy Moniz. She gets paid. I do believe she gets paid for that as an episode. They have to rent out studio time, right? So they have to rent out that studio. And then if Michael Zaslow, let's say, wanted to test with me, he's got to get his too. So then they fly people in. They take care of us. They fly us in first class, limos, 4 to 5 star hotels. They set me up in the Novotel, which was really nice in Manhattan. So I knew that they had to make a decision, and I had heard through people that they had already had it written on the canvas. Like, hey, man, they're going to pick somebody. David Gibbs was a friend of mine. I don't know if you know who he is, but Timothy Gibbs' brother.
Oh, yeah.
One Life to Live. I've known David ever since I moved out to LA. It was bizarre that it was between me and him. They did an article in Soap Opera Magazine. Will it be David Gibbs or the unknown guy? Well, I was the unknown guy, luckily. I called up Melanie Hazeltine. I had a message. You got to take care of this. And to this day, I still can't believe it. But so let's look at the odds. I call her up. I get patched to her. If it'd been Betty Ray, it probably would have been, with respect, it would probably have been, hey, look, we know who you are. You shouldn't be calling us. And, just chill out. We know what we're doing. Otherwise, we won't call you in for anything else in the future. That's maybe expected. So I got patched through to her assistant, Melanie Hazeltine, who happened just to be receptive. And that was a Monday. I said, look, here you guys are screen testing. You're having an issue. All I want to do is say, look, I'm trying to be a solution to the problem. The only thing I can say is if you fax me the script, I'll memorize it right now. And I'll get somebody to come over and videotape me. I'll send you an overnight package tonight. And if you don't like the first, just cut it off. And thank you. I'm just looking for a solution. I feel like I can be this guy. I love the dynamics of Hart. And she's like, okay. And I didn't know it was a real deal until I heard my fax machine kick in. I saw the script. I still have it to the day. A 6-page script, 6 pages. On the rookie, 6 pages is a whole day. It's a whole day for everybody.
Yeah.
So I got my friend. I memorized it quick. It's amazing. I don't know how I memorized it. Got my friend to film me. I had $18 to my name, and I had 5 minutes to get to FedEx. And it was $15 for an overnight package. I made it within 1 minute, and I almost talked myself out of not doing it. If I hadn't sent it that day, I wouldn't have got the part. They would have just gotten with David and signed him on a contract. That's crazy. So I found out about the screen test 2 days later. So here's the story. The writer that wrote that scene, it wasn't Megan. It was another gentleman. I forgot his name, but I really liked him. He told me this story. This is from him. He happened to be walking by Melanie's door that day when she was watching me. Let me say it again. He happened to be walking past her door while she was watching me, and she had her door open. She always leaves it closed. He heard my voice. He turns and he says, let's bring this to Michael Lapson. And then they brought it to Kenneth Fitz. Then he screen tested me, and there were 12 other guys. I knew 4 of them, and we all prayed together. We said, please let it be one of us. We deserve it, not these guys. They'll have their time. This is our time. And it's amazing how it went to me. And David, I saw him at the Procter & Gamble party, picked me up, almost broke my back. He was very happy for me. And I'll never forget that guy. He's always been cool.
Well, I will tell you.
And I was going to say, without Wendy Moniz, It's a fact. I know for a fact I would have not gotten the part. It had to be with Wendy, right? So I had to, if it had been Michael, he told me, Michael and I had some issues between us. He told me if it had been you, he said if they screen test, I wouldn't have picked you. And so you see how things sort of have to happen. I know Jill Phelps. She's a great woman. She's at YNR. I have the feeling that if she'd still been there, I wouldn't have gotten it. It had to be Michael Lapes. It had to happen that exact same way. And I do believe to this day, I'm the only guy that has ever done that. And I negotiated my contract.
I mean, I worked there for 13 years. I hadn't heard a story like that. And let me tell you that I tried to surprise you with Melanie Hazeltine today.
Melanie.
She says, wow, is that ever a name from the past? Such a sweet guy, crazy casting story since it took us forever to find the right heart. The network and Procter & Gamble could never agree with us on anyone. And then Marshall's persistence paid off.
That's awesome. Like I said, I know she was like an angel. I've been trying to do this for about 30 years. Just reach out to everybody that helped me get that part. You can say I earned it. You could say that, but without the doors opening up. So without that happening with Melanie, the writers, Megan, Michael Labeson, Bob Cockman.
I mean, you could have been the best actor, but if Melanie didn't answer that phone, you might, those things all have to truly come together.
I owe her in this lifetime and many other lifetimes, and I've told her that. Well, that's really nice. Thanks.
You're so welcome. She wanted to do it and she couldn't get out of some meetings.
Sure, she couldn't. She knew I would just talk her ear off. I'm just kidding.
When you said earlier when you were describing Leonard, running around naked, that you also were jumping up and down. Do you remember your first day on set?
Oh, absolutely. Wendy came up and shook my hand. We just had one line. She opens up the door and that's it. I appear. I liked how Guiding Light also warmed me up. It was very respectful and very cool of them to understand that this was my first soap. So like with one day, I'd have one line. A couple of days later, I got like 2 scenes and they gradually warmed me up. And I'll tell you, if anybody ever knows, like I said, Wendy, I want to give a shout out to Wendy Moniz because truly without her, I would not have been able to get that chemistry of the scene that we did. And let me tell you, I wish people could see the scene because it was one of the best scenes I think we ever did ever. And that was our first scene, which was the screen test, which was cool.
She's amazing. She was amazing in that role.
It was actually, the screen test was out there. I don't know who put it up. I don't know how it got there, but it was pretty cool. I was looking on YouTube one night and it said Marshall Hilliard screen test with Wendy Moniz. And somebody took it off. They took it off, but who knows? Maybe it'll come back on again. But if anybody ever wants to watch what a screen test is, you can actually see it. I think they're going to put it back up on YouTube. I don't know who it is. It's some unknown person that worked for Guiding Light back in the day, but that's cool of them to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just did a quick search. Thinking back on the experience at Guiding Light, was it hard replacing Leonard and Jeff at that time? I mean, Sean was only there briefly.
Right. I would include Sean in there as well, just to let you know, because he did fill in for, I looked at all 3 actors after I'd already decided on how I was going to play it. I did want to see what they were like, so I did my research on them so I could still give the audience a little bit of them as well. And so I did like Sean too. I liked his little, mischievous type of smirky, I know something that you don't know type of thing. What I wanted to bring, matter of fact, I really wish that I could have grown a beard as Hart Jessup back then, but the beards weren't too popular back then. I was at a point that I was going to roughen Hart Jessup up a little bit toward the end. Of course, the change came, but I had read a lot of fan letters and I saw what people liked and what they didn't like. And so I tried to emulate that along with my own perception and characterization of Hart.
Were you devastated when they replaced
Me? Or yeah, oh no,
Yeah.
I devastate. I don't even know if devastation's the term. Um, I could say compared to a death in the family, it's nothing. Compared to losing a brother or your father or your best friend or whomever is close to you. But I will say on the scale, in my life, it has affected me probably my whole life. But that's life. There are people that, God forbid, get hit by cars or they get a disease, or there was nothing stopping me from obtaining my goals in life. Guiding light was just the door that opened, and it served its purpose. And then I moved on. And without guiding light, I don't think I would have developed the confidence to want to be a producer, writer, and the things that I want to do in life now and produce.
I
Because
love
it
that.
taught Yeah,
I
well, it
love
taught me a lot about learn your scripts, have your actors know their stuff. You should know when you get on set. Be prepared to take notes. Be prepared to have script stuff taken out and maybe added. Show up in a great mood. Be happy that you're doing something that so many people dream about doing. And I know I had a reputation as being one that was actually a little too much, a little too happy, but I really did appreciate it. I really did appreciate the just living a dream and getting it. And so I say, show up in a great mood, show up early, and be prepared to make changes and just be nice to people.
Well,
And
I read
so go ahead, I'm
something
sorry.
you said, that you really loved Guiding Light. Being on the show was like a dream. It was more than a dream.
Yes.
It was more than I could have asked for. Why so?
I guess my sister and I, my parents, my friends, watching soaps growing up, joking around. Um, and Savannah's a big soap town, big CBS, big CBS town. And it was a blessing that my high school friends got to see me. All of my mom's friends, my dad would get asked for autographs. That's funny. And whenever he'd go see the girls, at the hospital, the dentist, or whatever, the grocery store, they'd always ask them about me and stuff. So it was a unique experience because it was a payoff for everyone. There's something about your parents when they see that you're living your dream, uh, and that you can buy them a house one day. I'm just kidding. But no, they were very proud of me. My family was proud of me, and that made me feel great about doing it. It was another reward behind that.
Yeah, I grew up, my mother learned to speak English watching As the World Turns and Guiding Light. And then
That is amazing.
I end up doing PR for both shows, and she was still alive to see that.
That's amazing.
So
Yep.
I understand how that feels. It's a great feeling for them to see that payoff.
Now, what
Michael,
may I ask? What is the language? What is your native language?
my mother came over from Holland. My dad's family and my mother all born and raised in Amsterdam.
That is very interesting that you said that you learned English from television shows and soap operas and all. I can dabble on that in a little while, but because I have something I think people
So
would
many
like.
people learned English watching.
Yep.
Since your family was a Guiding Light household, what do you remember as a kid watching? What stories?
It was always about Reba. My mom loved her. And I actually liked Michael Zaslow being the bad dude because you had Victor Newman on the other show there on the Restless. So every villain, had his. I never thought I would play his son. That's pretty crazy.
Were you intimidated when you knew you were going to play opposite him?
No, no, not at all. People told me he'll make you intimidated. It wasn't that case with us. I respected him as an actor and really just wanted to put together some great scenes, father and son conflicts for the fans. Toward the end, just to let you know, there was a scene. I don't know if you remember this, but me and Michael Zaslow me and Roger get into it in front of Wendy, right? I'll just say the names in front of Dinah at the cabin at my farm, and he said something like, "I wish I had never spawned you," and I said, "You're ruthless," and he slaps me. Well, we did an alternate take where I slap him back, and Michael didn't want to do that. But I know at that point, if that had happened, where Hart punches him back, that character changes, right? And I think it would have made for great drama, by the way, but Michael didn't want to do it. So we didn't do it, by the way. I don't know if you ever heard about that. So
I don't think so. Yeah.
he was gonna slap me. I was gonna take it, I was gonna slap him back and say, come on, hit me again, and have some hurt. It's your dad. I mean, who wants to fight their dad? But you didn't want to do it. But I think that look, Frank was coming anyway. You can't change your destiny. But I do believe that if the fans had seen that, that's where I felt like the character sort of got not, I don't want to use the term wimpy, but a little soft with his dad. I wanted him to be more like, look, you want to go at it, we can go out with fists right now in your office. That kind of heart. I don't care if you're my dad or not. I'll beat your ass like that. And Michael didn't want that. He wanted Hart to be the submissive, and
of course,
I just didn't. I didn't like it, but not to blame him for anything. That's one of the things I had an issue with.
You know, he's been around the block. He had his feelings on who Roger should be,
right.
And they listened. Well, another great story was, you finding out that Peter was your son and working with Melissa Hayden. What do you remember about Melissa?
Melissa, we didn't do a lot of scenes together, but they were very important because they involved a child. Even though it was a one-night stand, it's still our child. And so any scene that we ever did, it was always very serious, if that makes sense. Like Wendy and I had some fun scenes, and but Melissa and I, it was always serious. And working with Peter was such an amazing experience because we were just starting to really bond as a father and son, if you know what I mean. Because I told him, I said, every time I tell you I love you, you say I love you too, Daddy, and he would do it, and it was easy, if you know what I mean. I love it when kids can bring out the beauty and make it real.
Well, I can tell you at the end of the show, they brought up Peter because Melissa returned with Lisa Brown, who played her aunt.
Right. Lisa was great too. I loved working with her too.
And somebody asked about, where Peter was or something like that at the end of the show. So it brought it, all back to that. Let's go back to Leonard because, you and he became friends. You befriended him. You helped raise money for his ongoing medical care. How did your friendship come about and you connect with his family?
Well, I'd had a guy get in touch with me. His name was Mike. He was a fan of Guiding Light, got in touch with me on Facebook. He's like, look, do you know where Leonard is? And I'm like, I wish I could. I wish I have not stopped thinking about him since I got the role. So he gave me information that he had found out that someone was out there in the desert out in California around there. Someone was related to him. So I got about 12 Leonard Stabbs, and I got lucky because I got his grandfather. Now, this is bizarre. His grandfather said, I never answer my phone. I think it's a crazy person, crazy fan. I don't answer it. I heard your voice. I picked it up. And he gave me information on how I can get in contact with him. And it was just crazy. We shed tears on the phone. It was the most bizarre thing that's happened to me. But we both had, it was like a brother to me that I hadn't spoken to in years. And then I spoke to Judy, and she was his caretaker. She's a wonderful woman. And they came out and saw me in a football game. So all my teammates, Leonard's this big dude, right? 6'3", 6'4". And they thought he played for us. And that's funny. He used to come out to all of our games. Every game he came out to, we would win by a huge margin and dedicate the game to him. Yeah, we really liked Leonard a lot. And then he had to move. I actually want to tell people right now that if you're willing to,
and I have the address up. I have the address up on YouTube. If anybody, take it away, Leonard.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to interrupt you. Sorry about that. What my new idea here is like, look, He's in a sports rehab facility. He is working toward, staying fit and trying to stay, like a human being, just exercising, eating, enjoying life, watching San Francisco 49er games. So I want to keep that going. I want to make his life better. And so I think we should all, like, I don't know, get him a gift. He wears 3 extra large. He loves the 49ers. I'm going to send him $100 gift card. Nobody has to do that. I'm doing it because I appreciate him. I know he'd love some letters. I know he would love some cards. And listen, he still signs autographs, and he's got some nice autographs and nice pictures. If you guys want to, buy them, I think it's like $20, and he'll sign it. And I think we should do something for him. And I think we should do it and just not wait around anymore. I'm going to do it.
His niece takes care of him, right? Helps to.
Yeah, she's a wonderful Shayna. She's really a wonderful girl.
Yeah, and Shayna just shared this photograph of Leonard. They got him an e-bike so he can get around. And this is Leonard and Shayna behind. And look at the smile on his face. I mean, He does not look happy. I don't know what happy is.
He is happy. And
yeah,
when
seriously.
When he knows that people still remember him, they still want his autograph and they still like him, that's important. Nobody wants to be alone. I've been in Sedona for about 8 months. Let me tell you, there's 9,000 people here. And, like I said, no one wants to be alone. I mean, I like being here, just to let you know, but, he's in a situation where he doesn't have really a choice. And I think we can make it better for him to show appreciation.
It is amazing. I mean, it was a horrible accident. And, in 93, you said?
August of 93.
We're 21 years from that.
It's amazing. It's just amazing. Yeah.
He's come a long way. I mean, that is incredible.
Just to survive, the odds were against him. He hit a tree head on, hang gliding. I don't know how fast he was going. You could just imagine how fast. And for his head to hit a tree and for him to even be here today is just based on pure will, strength, and determination. And it's got to be love. Love has got to be the key factor.
31 years. I can't do math while I'm talking.
I didn't want to correct you.
Thanks, Charlotte, Steele, and Tony.
Yeah, I wasn't going to correct you. I said, no, it's okay. The host, you're the host.
31 years.
Yep.
Yeah, I leave the math to my husband.
Yeah, that's funny.
Wow.
Listen, he was Hart Jessup. He was the man. And, CBS had long-term plans for him. They were going to put him on a primetime show, and he was going to call his shots. It's amazing how things happen. That I look around me every day, and that's what keeps me from, oh, you're alone. Well, no. You're lonely. It's a state of mind. Get out. Start getting into groups, camping groups, hiking groups, poker, strip clubs, those things. I'm just kidding.
What brought you to Sedona?
My mother lived in Camp Verde for almost 30 years. So I would visit her. Every time I'd visit her, we'd come here and visit. And I just said, I'm going to move here one day. And it's bizarre because she actually sold her home, moved back to Mississippi, where she's from, in her old neighborhood. We're next to her. She went to school. It's really nice. She wanted to do that. So she sold her home in 21. So I'm moving anyway. So I got lucky. There was one apartment. There was literally one condo available in the whole city. And I got it. So I got lucky.
You didn't want to go to Mississippi.
No. That's where I was born. I was born in Gulfport. Listen, there's nothing wrong in Mississippi, except I just, I know where I feel comfortable. I'm a West Coast. I feel more comfortable West Coast.
That's sort of wild because we took Guiding Light to Biloxi.
Oh, yeah, Biloxi, Gulfport, they're twin little cities. Yeah.
We took.
That's cool. We
helped rebuild homes after Katrina.
Wow, I wish I had known because I would have been down there with you guys. But you didn't ask me.
That's crazy. I didn't know you were born there.
Yeah.
You played a cop on General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Young and the Restless. What were those experiences like for you?
I love playing a cop, like, because it's a serious. There's not a lot really going on with respect to these characters. They're like 5 and 6 lines, and you do your job and you're out. It's a lot of fun. I love putting on the uniform. I did 3 seasons of Castle. My friend Nathan Fillion hooked me up. What a great guy! And he hooked me up 3 years on The Rookie as well. So, what's up,
How,
Nathan?
how do you know Nathan from
From
New
One
York
Life to Live.
when you
Yeah, we
were?
were on. I did a lot of charity events. I made my way around. Felt like I had an opportunity. I never turned down a charity event ever. And I would meet him, and he was just such a nice guy. And he was at Cookie Weird. Yeah, I don't know if you remember Cookie
Oh
Weird. Cookie
yeah,
Weird.
I remember Cookie.
Cookie. She had the best parties, and
Yeah.
I would always see him there. And I ran into him at a party in 2012. And he's like, "Hey man, can I do anything for you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd like to be on Castle." And he's like, "Yeah, we'll hook you up with a co-star." I'm like, "No, I want to be a background person." He's like, "Why would you want to be a background person?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to produce and I want to just sit back and observe, because when that day comes, I'll know what I'm doing by paying attention, by being a background person." And I did it with The Rookie as well. I was with the main unit, and I learned so much. I mean, it's amazing. And I worked with a great group of people. And being a cop is always fun. Days of Our Lives was really super nice to me, along with General Hospital. I did like 30 episodes with General Hospital, but did a lot of background. I asked Mark, I said, "Look, Mark Teschner, what a great guy." I said, "Look, I want to learn. I'm ready to learn. So if I can make money and be a co-star and be a background person, I'll do it." So he allowed me to be the background person too. And so did Marnie Saida from Days of Our Lives. I love her. Dylan was such a great. I did 85 episodes with them. So it was over 10 years as well. Marnie took care of me. Days of Our Lives took care of me. These guys, listen, Young and the Restless was great too. I did mainly background work on that show. I did 2 episodes. But I love the business, man. And I learned that once you're satisfied with not being in front of the camera and you like sitting back and watching, that's when it's time to just say, "Look, I'm ready to go." And I'm
You
ready to
can
go.
learn so much by watching.
Observing. And listen, it's tough. I like to talk a lot, but there were moments to be quiet and to observe. And I learned a great deal. Like I said, without all of the help from people and friends, I wouldn't be here today.
Are you
So
the talker, or were you the talker in your family?
I think we all almost were, pretty much. But my sister Jessica, I have a younger sister Jessica. She's a little quiet. But my youngest sister Faith, if she and I get together, it's like Starbucks. My brother and I also, it's like if my brother, my dad, and myself went to, let's say it was a family reunion, people would know when we walked in because they'd just be nonstop. We're just talkers. I think we just love the art of conversation, just because that's the basic human um, relations that we
Well,
have
I
is
feel like it's
conversation.
love of. I feel like listening to you, it's love of life.
I try. I try to make the best, with what God gives me, and every day that you wake up is a blessing. And as I get older, I realize that truly is a blessing. And you're here for the day. I went hiking. I'm going to go to the gym later on. I'm going to get some sun, even though it's like 29 degrees. Get some sun on my face, and just be grateful every day. That's what I try to do. I think that forget about the law of attraction. I just think it's something that should be done. Period. Is just to wake up every day and to look at all the things you have.
I love that. Writing and producing. When did you decide you wanted to do that, or had you always written from an early age?
I have. I actually would write in school when we would do the creative writing things, and I enjoyed creating original stuff. that if I had seen, let's say, Star Wars at the theater in, let's say, 77, I wanted to do something different than that movie. And I would pick out, it may sound arrogant, but I would pick out flaws in the movie that I noticed mistakes, whether it was continuity or whether it was a bad cut or there we go. Or it could be a bad voiceover. I knew when I was 10 years old that that was going to be my destiny. And so it's great now. I love the business more than ever now, and I just can't wait. Because see, when you produce, you just don't write. You got to help out with the budget. You got to find locations. You got to work with the schedules. You got to work with casting. You got to work with the director or the editor. Catering is your job to make sure the set is peaceful and calm and cool. If an actor and actress is having a problem, you need to talk to them, or you need to rehearse with them. Maybe I'd be the guy that would rehearse with them too. So you just don't, like, writers write sometimes, but when you produce and you create, you're busy all the time. And I love doing it. I've got the energy for it too. Naturally.
What's the piece that you've written that means the most to you, or the piece you really wish you could put out into the world right now? If you could have the budget you want and the cast you want,
right? I got it. Yeah, it's an easy one, but I can't discuss it. I can tell you what it's about though. But it's great.
Okay.
It's probably the best thing I've ever written in my life. I have an original comedy called Burn. Now, what Burn is without being
was that
told,
the first thing you produced? Burn?
It was. Burn was, and it's all about diversity, multiple languages with subtitles. And nobody's doing that. I created a diverse cast when I was 19. So no one told me to do this. I did it out of just being creative and wanting to represent the United States and Los Angeles in the right way. And so once I created Burn, created another series based on one of the episodes on Burn. An executive saw it and he wanted to create a series. Now, the theory goes for me that it's a Latino show. So it's about East LA and it's original. And I want it to be about 40% in Spanish. And that's what we're discussing right now. It's a real great look at East Los Angeles, struggles, the victories that Latino people go through being in Los Angeles. And they're real stories, not the watered down version we see, but these are real stories. And I think by having 35% subtitled, having 35% in Spanish, I think that's good for two reasons. Number one, just like you mentioned earlier about your mother learning English, for people that are coming over, they can learn English. And for white people like myself, we can brush up on the Spanish. It's a joke, but seriously, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you will be reading. So now we're bringing our community together now. Do you see what I mean? Everything I write is based on feeling great and letting people work their problems out to learn from each other so we can create a better society. Every movie I have, whether it's horror, comedy, thriller, chiller, science fiction, it's all the basic same thing. I want people to feel good when they see my stuff. I want them to get something out of it that they remember, that they talk about later on. So the one thing that you asked me, it's a bachelor party movie. I was asked to write it. And with respect to The Hangover, they said, write something like The Hangover. I said, you're out of your mind. I won't even write something that god awful. I'm sorry. I like realism in comedy, right? So you can't steal Mike Tyson's Bengal Tiger when you have roofies in you and bring him back to the hotel room and lock it up with security. You see what I mean, right? The movie made a lot of money. So I wrote a bachelor party movie that is going to be so amazingly great, especially if we get the cast that I want and the director that I want. I think people will never forget it. And it will soon make The Hangover forgotten real quick. I'm proud of that. And I can't say that I wrote it. It literally was like divine intervention. Once again, it's just this formula came up. I actually wrote the whole script with the soundtrack too. And what happens is it's a bachelor party movie. It starts off, obviously it's going to be a bachelor party movie. Then it moves into a buddy movie. And then it moves into a romantic comedy. And the way it ends, I think I bring everything together. I give you little hints of what's going to happen, but you don't realize it until it happens in the very end. I'm very proud of it. And I suspect that we'll be talking about this once it hits the theaters within a couple years. I suspect it'll sell very fast. I think today's the first day we're going to put it out there. So wish us luck, because I'm not writing for me. I'm writing I want people to feel great. I really do. I mean, it's like Back to the Future. Where are these movies now? They're all about people walk out of the theater, they don't feel good, and they just spend a lot of money. And that's not my goal. My goal is to make them feel great and for them to be laughing, when they leave, or talking about how important it was.
Is there something, whether it's a series or a movie in the last year, that has made you feel those things?
Unfortunately, I haven't seen anything that I like recently. It's just there's not a lot of great stuff in my opinion, stuff that makes me want to watch. So I'm finding myself watching older movies. I mean, I know this may sound strange. I watched the Bible the other night. It was Christmas Eve, and I felt like that'd be good. It's a 3-hour movie. And I said initially, I'm not watching this. This is too long. It was amazing. The story, how
had you seen it before?
No.
Oh,
and
okay.
My mind was blown out of I did some cross-reference research, some historical references as well. Excuse me, not only how accurate it was, but the sets that they had. I don't know if you remember, but Babylon, when not Nebuchadnezzar, but Nimrod. I didn't know Nimrod was Cain's son either. When he built the Tower of Babel, and they show him up there, and there are thousands of extras down there, and they don't do that anymore. It's CGI and it's fake. Another thing, I wanted to show some people the difference between the movie The Edge. You ever see that movie with Alec Baldwin and Anthony Hopkins?
Ooh.
Oh, it's written by David Mamet, so it's going to be a good screen. They've got a bear in it. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but there's a bear in it that you just watch the movie. So then you go to the movie Cocaine Bear, right? And the bear looks so fake. So this is the difference between, I like makeup when it comes to movies and making things real versus CGI. So getting back to the movie I saw, the Bible just reminded me, we need to put more importance on set design, making it real, keeping things real, whether it's a comedy or not, it still should be real. Like I said, I won't go back to The Hangover, but I could give you days and days of just goofy stuff that they did. For instance, let's say they take the guy that's getting married and they put him on top of the roof. Bye. You forgot about him. I thought it was about him. And he's on top of the roof for 3 days and he doesn't get dehydrated. He doesn't die. And security doesn't come up. Why don't we just make him, we could just jump off the roof, since anything can go. So that's what I think people will like about my interpretation of a bachelor party movie versus it gives you a real feel while you're still having a great time. And I just don't like BS. Sorry.
Yeah. You don't have to explain. I mean, but that's what's so, I worked in movies for 8 years. It is amazing to, everybody has a different reaction. We all have differences of what we like and what we find enjoyment in, and you could go see the same movie 10 times and the reaction will be different all 10 times.
True too. But I also would like to see more variety. I'm going to be honest with you. Let's just say, well, I hate to say it like this, but let's just say my movie came out at the same time The Hangover came out. I don't see The Hangover making the money it made. It was only there because that's all they had in America. Sometimes we'll say, well, this is all we got, but it's certainly better than nothing. And what has happened to TV and film, that's the state is they're just satisfied. Well, we're here. It shouldn't be that. It should be something that we used to look forward to going to movies. It was like a family thing. You go out and you have dinner before or after. And if you see something like Superman, the original, you're talking about, I told my parents, this is not a superhero film. You got to see it. And when they saw Superman, they knew I knew what I was talking about. And I was only 10 years old. Christopher Reeve was incredible, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen anybody touch him yet. He's the man. He's like Leonard, actually. He reminds me of like a Leonard. It's hard to replace that guy.
Yeah, Christopher was special as Superman.
Yeah, I mean, intensity. But yeah, no, I'm wanting to just, like I said, I have 53 episodes written of Burn. I do believe Burn will be, if they want them, they want them. Sometimes they just want the pilot.
That's a lot of episodes.
I got it if you guys need it. You know what I mean? So I have a clear idea of what the series is and where it's going. We have a whole season written, 13 episodes for the first season. And I'm so proud of these for television. I talked about the film, the Bachelor Party film. Burn is so original that not only is it the most diverse dramedy in the history of TV, it's going to have multiple languages, man. It's going to be like Armenian and Russian and Hebrew. I mean, it's everything that LA has. Spanish, Russian. You never see a television show that's got multiple languages with subtitles, multiple languages with subtitles. I want to show people that they're represented, right? Not just doing LA justice, but doing the people that live there justice by saying, look,
the world is a diverse place.
The world is a vampire. I'm just kidding. That's a song. That's funny, right? I told you I'd get goofy before it was over with. Yeah, no, what I want to do is I just want people to smile and say, this guy represents me. This guy is thinking about me and my community and my culture, and he's putting it on TV. And I think that Burn, well, I just want people to smile. I want somebody to cry. I want somebody to hear their native language and say he cares about us. And I do. I want to give these people their money's worth. And let me tell you something. Production companies are scared right now because we have upped the ante. And now they're going to have to up the ante because once Burn's on TV, it's all over. It's going to be the best produced show anybody's ever seen in their lives. And I'm not just saying this. It may sound like a braggadocio. I'm not. I'm just saying it out of confidence because I've been in the business long enough. I've read enough scripts. I've seen what's going on. I've seen the profit margins. I've seen the budgets. I've seen, the arguments. And then I've seen the poorly produced films that make people feel not so good. So TV and film, I can't wait to dabble in it. I can't wait to show my stuff. I can't wait for Burn to come out. And when it does, people will appreciate television again because
you'll come back. You'll come back and talk
if they want me to be. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, man. Listen, we'll do interviews.
You'll come back and talk to me. Marshall, such a pleasure to spend time with you.
Thank you so much. Is it an hour already?
It is. It goes fast.
I only got 30 minutes. Hey, listen, man, I really appreciate this. Thank you so much for thinking about me. We're going to be doing some interviews in the future if you want. And I think you'll love my stuff. Absolutely. I'll send you a copy of what we've already shot.
I can't wait. Stay here as I sign off. Thank you. And for everybody watching, the information on how you can send Leonard a present, money, a note is down below on YouTube. Send it to his niece, Shayna. Marshall, be well. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you to Marshall Hilliard for joining and stopping by today. Please join me next Wednesday, January 17th, when Talia Ash joins me live. Daytime TV fans will recognize Talia from her role as Amira Ali Aziz on As the World Turns. And for 5 years, she was a series regular on DC's Legends of Tomorrow, playing Zari Tomaz, the first Muslim American superhero on television. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, do so down below. Turn on the notifications for reminders of all upcoming shows. And please hit the like button if you like today's episode. It always helps. And for those who like to stream audio versions, search The Locker Room on your favorite streaming platform. Thanks again, everybody, for a great week. Have a great weekend, and please stay safe.